What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, you're watching the Maverick Conservative, where I react and give commentary on politics, pop culture, and more. So today, we're watching the video from Jubilee. It's called Africans versus African Americans. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video, all that good stuff. And make sure you actually stay to the end, because as you know, I always give my final thoughts at the end of the video. You ready to ride? Let's roll.
Me coming from Africa, I came here to better my life. And I feel like personally, we need to stop using the word racism when we don't get something or when something don't go our way. And just
let me jump in real quick. No disrespect, but racism exists and I have to acknowledge it. And I can't just ignore it. But what I can do is not buy into the system.
Step forward if you agree. Slavery affected my family.
Yeah, I mean, that's just evident in my last name, King. I mean, that's the brand of the slave owner that put that name on my family all those years ago, and I'm still wearing it in those ways, along with the compounded, economic disparity, social disparity, mental trauma, all of that. I mean, it's tethered forever.
So to go back to slavery and talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, it has never stopped. So there is no post. What my great-grandparents were teaching my grandparents, who taught my mother, who taught me, came from what they learned through slavery.
It's very saddening when you can literally only go back a couple generations and then it's like the documents just don't exist. There's no record. It's like, my family has completely been.
I know what he's saying. I recently did an ancestry with my father on this ancestry.com. You guys are familiar with that. Everyone is, right? And it was difficult. You got to a certain point, you get like a bunch of wins, and you start to trace the family tree up, and start connecting the dots, and then you reach a point where there's just nothing, and that was pretty disheartening. And I know that that's a direct result of the fact that our ancestors were slaves. It's a reality that I can't escape, even though I don't agree that racism is as prevalent as it was back in the day right now. But I still want to listen to what these brothers have to say, because there may be some points that I'll agree with, even though I think there's going to be a lot of them that I quite frankly don't agree with. But I'm going to suspend all my judgment to the end.
Erased. In that same point too, in the time that we've been here, we've created an incredible culture, and we have so many things to be proud of. And I always reframe the narrative myself when I speak of my ancestors that were enslaved as, doctors and healers. And it's like, we were taken because we were talented, right? Because we had skills to offer. And we built this country,
and still building.
And still building. That's something to take pride in. So,
in the disagree, step forward.
Slavery didn't affect my family, but we did suffer a different type of slavery back home. Like we went through colonization. Like I am Bamileke. There was a massacre of Bamileke. You guys can look it up. They killed more than 300,000 of my people.
That's horrible,
because we didn't want to assimilate to the French culture. But it's still nothing compared to what you guys' ancestor
I don't agree with that. I don't believe that, this brother should minimize what his people went through versus what Black Americans went through over here. Oppression is oppression. This isn't the oppression Olympics, right? I don't, just because his people didn't want to assimilate into French culture, they didn't want to be colonized. That's still over 300,000 of his people were slaughtered for that. You don't have to minimize that just because you feel like maybe our oppression was greater. The oppression and the death that took place was horrible on both sides of the water. So you don't have to minimize your experience, brother.
Like been through,
I wouldn't want to minimize that pain.
I just said that.
What you just said hurt me. That 300,000 people were killed because they would not conform to the colonization of the French people. So that is just as painful and hurtful as the trauma that we suffered here in America.
I agree.
I can't share the same experience that you have went through and your family, even though we also had our own type of slavery. We had apartheid at the time, where the Dutch people took over and they wanted to just have South Africa, Namibia, and I think other countries where we could only just speak Dutch. It's somehow still happening even now. There's like a place in South Africa where it's called Orania, you know, and it's just Dutch people there. No Black person is even allowed there. So we still somehow feel that oppression even now, but it's nothing compared to what your ancestral history, you know, has gone through.
I really think, you know, sis, you got to stop comparing what your people went through to what our people went through here in America, right? You know, brutality is brutality. To have a whole race of people looked at and you know, beaten and subjected to all of this violence simply because of the color of their skin is horrible. And I don't think just because there may have been more or less on, you know, depending on what continent, it doesn't matter. It was horrible around the board. You don't have to compare your ancestors' struggle with our ancestors' struggle. There's no need for that.
Somehow happy that you guys have forgiven it, even though you haven't forgotten it. Have you forgiven it? I mean, like your face is like.
Do that. But me personally, no, I haven't. But I want to work through the change. But no, I have not forgiven because it's a system that's still going on. And from what I'm hearing from you guys, there's a system that's still going on in Africa as well. And it's a war on us.
How prevalent is that system though? Like, is that system really holding anybody back from accomplishing anything? Right. I mean, I'm going to say racism exists on in every corner of the world. Right. But is it really holding you back from achieving anything? That's the bigger question, in my opinion.
Racism is the main cause of poverty among Black people in America.
Racism is a very big issue that talking about it, I'm really trying to be careful to not like say anything that will be insensitive. If opportunity is right here, they will give it to people of other race than African American and Africans too. So if there's a job that maybe have math requirement, I feel like they'll pick an Asian person, or they believe, oh, African Americans will not dress appropriate, so they will pick another person. They will always like pick people that are not Black over people that are Black.
And I also think, I think the crucial like missing point when we talk about economic disparity, time is the most valuable currency. And if you have like a stock that's like the American dream is the stock, and you know, during all that time, all that asset, the American dream was appreciating, and you're not allowed to take out business loans, you're not allowed to read, you're not allowed to write, you have to first fight to become 3/5 of a citizen, then you got Jim Crow, and then you got everything else. It's like, you're now having to buy in at a price so high because the time is irreparable. You can't get that back. One Black person today cannot, in one lifetime, achieve what generations of white families were able to do simply because they didn't have to compete with us to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. Like,
Yeah, I was thinking, just like you said, from a historical standpoint, we start with slavery, then that's centuries, generations of stolen labor, like you said. Then we get into Jim Crow, which is just an extension of that. Then we have redlining, we have mass incarceration, we have events like the bombing of Tulsa and Rosewood in Florida, and all these different examples of our wealth being decimated. And I don't say that to come from a defeatist or a victim mindset, but I think if we just have an honest conversation about history and what we've gone through when we've been here, racism is definitely a big part of that. And there are a lot of successful Black Americans, a lot of millionaires, a lot of, you know, business owners, but they're exceptions for sure for a reason. And there's a big difference between income and wealth.
You know, it's important to recognize that racism have been a major factor in challenges that have affected Black community. But by saying racism is the main reason, in my opinion, it really oversimplifies things. I believe hard work and determination can overcome any challenge. I believe that if you look around, you're going to find many examples of people that through hard work and determination that they were able to overcome a lot of these challenges. I also believe that if we keep sharing stories of people who are successful that look like you and me, we're going to be able to prove that racism is not a factor anymore.
I would like to challenge the ideal that African Americans are lazy or that we don't have a good work ethic. I think there's this perception that, you know, we're here, we're in America, how are we not doing better for ourselves? So
Let's see.
I thought I was going to be the only one staying. I was going to be like, oh, I'm about to be like Kanye West. But okay, there's a lot of things we can use as an excuse to hold us back, to not to reach our potential. But it's up to us to look past that. You know, like me coming from Africa, I came here to better my life, my family. I'm the only one here. And since I have been here, there's a lot of bad things that happened to me. There's also a lot of good things that happened to me. Us African or African American, we need to like look past like racism and like just focus on our own goal. Like, what do we want to achieve? And we need to stop using the word racism when we don't get something or when something don't go our way, and just keep trying.
That's true, because the more you use it and it turns out not to be that, you actually weaken the case or the argument to be made that you actually experience racism.
You know,
Let me jump in real quick. No disrespect, but racism exists and I have to acknowledge it. And I can't just ignore it. But what I can do is not buy into the system. You know, if I want to do something, let me be the entrepreneur. What I believe happened in the 1960s is that we started looking for equal rights, to be equal with other people. And what we stopped doing, and I heard you talk about Tulsa, we stopped using the Black-owned businesses. Now, because you guys got to understand, the Fair Housing Act in 1968, I'm 5 years old. That's when we could move off the east side of LA and move into other subcultures. So what I wanted to do at 8 years old was go to IHOP. I didn't want to go to the Ma and Pa restaurant anymore. I want to go to, let's go eat at the hotels. So what we did is stop supporting each other and started supporting corporate America. So the racism plays a major part, but we don't have to buy into it.
I feel what he's saying. I can only feel it so much because I didn't grow up in the 1960s, right? Or the early 1970s for that matter, right? That wasn't my lived experience. But what I can say is I don't hear any other group of people talk like this. Like I have to go support another business just because they look like me or you know, share a certain culture. All right, you shop where you feel comfortable at, you know? So if that's at the Black mom and pop shop, I'll go frequent that, right? Or if it's at the big box store or the big chain restaurant and I like their service and I like their food, that's where I'm going to go. I don't see any other culture of people who move like this. It may look like that, but I promise you, for my experience, I haven't seen any group of people talk like this. Like I'm only going to go buy, you know, from this Ethiopian restaurant because I'm Ethiopian. I'm only going to go shop at this particular store, Italian store, because I'm Italian. I don't hear other groups of people talk like this. But when I see Black Americans, us, I feel like we're the only group of people who talk like this. And quite honestly, I think it's some bullshit. That's just my personal opinion.
I have been waiting to disagree with you, my brother. I'm waiting patiently. The thing is, even though I want to disagree with you, I get where you're coming from. When I see Black people talking about racism, all that stuff, I'm like, what is wrong with these people? You guys have food, you have EBT, all these things, and you're here shouting about somebody is racist too. Just leave that person and move on.
Facts.
I feel that way. Like, why are they always like complaining? But when Black Lives Matters started happening, like I sat down, I said, I need to actually know why these people are pained. And if we look at the history, what they've done to them, like if you actually sit down, watch some documentaries, how they were maltreated, I don't think if I'm actually born, I will forgive those people. I don't care. It's easier for us Africans that were raised in Africa to feel like they're complaining because we were raised through struggle. Like I barely even have water, and you have water, you're complaining. But then it's not about the basic necessity or about how we are raised. We are raised like, I don't want to say way better. We might not
say better, sis. Say better. You have a culture. You know, there's a culture here too, but you know it's different. But I can say it's better. I don't like the state of Black America right now, right? And I'm not afraid to say that I think that the culture that you come from actually raised your children a little bit better than what we experienced over here. I might get some flack in the comment section for saying that, but I don't care. I'm just gonna speak the truth and stand on it.
Have resources, but there's some way, like our own people will not look down on us or put us behind. So it's in they're nurtured that way. Like they just can't overlook it. And if you sit down and watch everything that the forefathers have been through for you, I changed my mind. No, they need to be angry. However, they should still move forward. I
mean, we have police brutality back home too.
True.
We have, like, if you go to Cameroon and then you see how that police officer treat us and they're Black just like us, you're not even gonna believe it. You know, and in Cameroon we have this. Have you guys heard of the word like tribalism?
So, yeah, it happens in Nigeria.
Yeah, so we do get oppressed too, and
I agree.
So when I'm saying like we need to like look past that, I'm not saying forget what happened to you guys or me. At the end of the day, we cannot just sit and just grieve on the past. We have to be able to move on, but not forget.
Absolutely.
If I could choose a place to live, it would obviously be my country. I love my country, but right now, my country is not the best choice for me. There's a little genocide going on in Cameroon right now. So many innocent lives are being taken. If I was still in my country, the opportunity that I have here, I would not have those opportunity there.
I'm going to say something that is really controversial, right? I got a neighbor, we talk, and I believe that, you know, if you are a fighting age male, right, you should be, in my humble opinion, and we both agree on this, my neighbor and I, you should be fighting for everything that you feel like we have here, right? If there's lack of opportunity over there because you guys are being oppressed, y'all need to raise up just like the people did here, right? Whether it was the white people in 1776 or the black people who stood up for themselves here and you know, started to make change through violence and civil disobedience. But they stayed. There was no other country that we could escape to. We stayed here and made America into what it is that you actually wanted to escape from your country for and come here. You should have been willing to stay in your country and fight for what it is that we have here. Just my opinion.
Hip hop reinforces stereotypes about the Black community.
Oh, I'm really interested in hearing about this.
In South Africa, we have our own version of hip hop. So we call it Kwaito. So they would rap in our own language in different, we call it Vernac. So back home, it kind of did reinforce some stereotypes because now when you go out in the world, people will just classify you under one group. And growing up, also looking at American entertainment, looking at the hip hop that's done here, I'm like, oh, well, you're rapping about drugs, you're rapping about this. Of course it's going to happen. Of course you're going to go to jail. But getting older, you see the culture as well of hip hop. I had to understand that there's a culture within that.
I was alive when hip hop started, and it was during a time where people rapped about what they saw, what they wanted in life. And then it became where people rapped about what they had been through, what they had gotten over, you know, used to sell drugs, used to hurt people, but now this is who they are. And I think it's gotten into now, and in our day and age now, it's where people are glorifying and wanting to pretend that these are the things that they do on a daily basis when it's not. So it went from storytelling to now really it's truly storytelling, but it's unhealthy for our culture.
All right, everybody knows that in hip hop, there's a lot of times where the music actually paints us, or let me say, paint a picture of the Black community that's really, you know, one-sided, right? Not really in the best light, but extremely one-sided. And I've noticed that in some lyrics of those songs, they kind of push stereotypes like, you know, success being all about the flashy stuff and violence and drugs. And it's like the focus on these things in hip hop can make people see us in a very limited way. And, you know, have you ever listened to those music videos, right? There's a lot of stuff out there. I don't even want to like say any lyrics on here because most of them are just trash, especially what's her name? Nasty Red. I can't stand her and the music that she's putting out. But, you know, music like that, her name is Sexy Red, but I call her Nasty Red. But, you know, music like that can really play into, you know, some not so great images. Let me just say stereotypes of how people actually see us, right? It frames us and it shapes the way people actually think about us. I just think it's important to remember that, you know, the Black community is so diverse, right? There's a spectrum of us, and we've got a lot more going on than what you might actually see inside of these rap videos or hip hop videos and these music scenes. There's just so much more going on, and not all hip hop does this. Right. I remember back in the day when I was growing up, you know, people wore these what do you call them, sweatshirts, and they had all the HBCUs on them. The enrollment inside of the HBCUs at that time were through the roof. I can't put a number or percentage on it, but it was very, very high. We were proud to, you know, to be of that, but that was because we were being influenced by the music. And you look at the music today, and it's just really sad that it's really not that way. But you know, it is worth talking about and saying that we are all not that way. But I can acknowledge that a lot of the lyrics that our young folks are listening to are actually shaping the way that our young people see ourselves or see themselves. And unfortunately, the way a lot of other people from other cultures, even cultures here in America, see them as well. And that needs to change.
I don't want to on my radio and all I'm hearing is I put a bullet, you know, something. Like I'm like, eh? That's what you would do.
I love that.
No, like
I love that.
And then it's like it's all about like talking about female body type, the booty, the thing, like, don't talk about my booty like that. So I don't want to listen to something that portray me as a female that way, or something that is talking about how you put bullets in my head. Like, if you actually do not come to America and see for yourself, you will think that most African Americans are carrying guns around and they just shoot randomly, or they just grab your ass or something like that. That's the way the music portray them. And music is a very important element in our society because it influences a lot of people, both young and adult. And then they kind of see all those stuff and they act like that, even though that's not what they really want to be. They act like that and behave like that. Like if all these rappers are your role model, then you want to be like them. You want to be cool too. So in the end, it's about like the people that are packaging the music, and sometimes it's about trend, is what people want to hear.
The American dream is only for white people.
Oh, let's really hear about this.
I believe that the American dream is only for white people because it says equal. And when we talk about equal, there's no equality between the 1%, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Trumps, and the people who really run the media and things of that nature. So for Black people growing up in America and living in America, we could become rich, we could become wealthy, but we are not on the equal playing field of white America. The system of white supremacy, which is in the law enforcement, which is in the judicial system, which is in the prison industrial association, also in the politics. We are not equal in any of those terms.
When I was back there, when you were speaking, I started thinking, like, could we ever actually, as Black people, have the American dream here in America? And I don't know if we really can, I'm trying to be careful with my words, but I do think there needs to be a degree of separatism. Like, Black people, we really need to have our own to fully take part in that dream.
This is their system.
Yeah.
Why would we dream of being equal in a system that wasn't designed for us?
Because this is America. We're all American. I'm a Black American. We are all part of America. The system is America. I just really disagree with this brother's narrative right now, but that's why I sat down to watch this. I disagree with that, man, strongly. This is America.
The American dream, at least the way that I define it, is, freedom of opportunity, freedom to choose what I want to do, freedom to acquire wealth the same way that anybody else can. Obviously, we're fighting the tides of time on that and our circumstances, but it's hard because it's hard to honor that, but then also want more for myself. And I think that as Black people, we're always teeter-tottering on that line of like, well, am I American? Like, do I get the American dream, or do we just tear all this down and build something new? White people are not the only people entitled to the American dream ever. Yeah. And I think that that's why we're all here, because our ancestors made it so that we can stand here and pursue that American dream.
I wouldn't have been here if it meant that it was not for everyone. I wouldn't have even entered America. I feel like not just African, but other people as well in different countries. And from what I have seen, I've seen other people, even Africans and African Americans, succeeding in their own way. And that's why I feel like you said, you can interpret the American dream in a different way, whatever industry or whatever it is that you're focusing on, because there is a level of opportunity there. There is some way that you can be successful. Talking about Trevor Noah, who took over The Daily Show, it wouldn't have been possible for him coming in as an African. He got his American dream. It made us as well, other Africans, believe that it is possible.
The American dream writes his check. So he gets to have wealth or whatever it is that he's experiencing, but the American dream is the one who writes.
This brother has a defeated mentality. Even though I heard him say in the beginning that he's not going to let the system beat him down, this brother sounds broken to me, and it's sad to see because he's an elder. I'm supposed to be looking up to this brother, right? I know I got a little bit more gray hair than he do. We just grayed early in my family, but he said he was born in the 60s, so he's significantly older than I am. Don't listen to this brother, right? If you're a young man and you're watching this, don't pay any attention to what this brother just said right now, because it's bullshit, all of it.
Writes his check, not him.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But do you see how we would put it as he had his American dream, even though someone writes his check? But for him, or for some of us looking at it on the other side, that's his American dream because his goal was to get there. The biggest cultural shock I saw coming here was definitely the lifestyle, because the lifestyle I saw of America, especially Los Angeles, was portrayed as a very rich lifestyle. And of course, I came here as a student, and coming here, living here, and seeing the reality of it, seeing different homeless people, disadvantaged people, was really a cultural shock for me because I didn't expect to see that. And I guess also the way people were handling each other, because coming in as an African, I thought people were together. But since being here, I saw that there was a huge divide, or there is still a huge divide within the African American community themselves.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video right there. If you guys want to see more of this particular video without my commentary, I'm gonna make sure that I actually leave the link down in the resource box. Shout out to Jubilee for putting together some amazing content. If you've never heard of their channel, make sure you get over to their channel and check out their other videos that they've done. Very well put together, excellent production. Thank you so much, Jubilee, for putting this together. And I hope you allow me to, react to this, because I just find your content so amazing. But for those of you stuck around to the end, I'm gonna go ahead and get into my final thoughts. The American dream is for everyone, regardless of race or background. And as I stated earlier in the video, a lot of people have come to this country and were born in this country who were able to achieve success and prosperity through hard work and determination. Opportunities are available to all Americans, and success stories exist across a plethora of various different racial and ethnic groups. The idea that the American dream is only for white people, in my opinion, overlooks the accomplishments of many individuals from many different communities. And in the past, discrimination has been a challenge, but progress has been made by many people that have overcome obstacles to achieve their dreams. So I really disagree with the entire narrative that the American dream is only for white people. Again, guys, thank you for hanging out to the end of this video. Make sure you like this video, comment on this video, share this video with anyone you know. That's the only way that I know that we can force YouTube's algorithm to push this content out to other like-minded individuals. Again, and make sure that you actually look down in the resource box and check out Jubilee's channel so you can watch the rest of this video and check out the rest of their content. All right, guys, until I see you in the next video, I'm gone.